Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are watching or listening to the live stream today. So glad to be with you here today. My name is Matt Pierce. I am the Learning and Video Ambassador for TechSmith. It's time to make video shirt on today because that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We are going to be making some videos today showing you the power of templates. Now, before we get into all of that stuff and showing it off, I do want to talk for just a few minutes here about templating, because I think it's one of the things that if you're not familiar with the idea of a template, which most people are, I would assume, especially for video, it is really, really powerful and it's really, really awesome to be able to make a template. But I think some people might say, well, do I need a template for a video? And the question is, it depends. You may not need a template, but there's so many things that if you're doing repetitive, similar tasks over and over and over again, a template is going to allow you a couple things. First of all, it's going to allow you speed to creation, right? You're going to get faster. You're going to develop something quicker because you don't have to rethink the structure. You don't have to think of all the parts and pieces, oh gosh, what did I do here last time? You just say like, these are the parts that are repeatable. It makes your video creation scalable, faster, so you're just dropping in pieces, tweaking those versus doing it all from scratch. Now, sometimes you want something new. Sometimes you want it to look different. That's fair. However, templates are really, really great because, again, you can do that very consistently. And then the other thing I'll say is if you're working with any kind of team, maybe it's you and you're working with a video editor, or you are working with a team of instructional designers or a team of technical writers, and you all want to make videos because that's really helpful, but you want them to look like it came from one person. Again, templating will allow you to be able to do that really well and really easily. So a couple things as we get going here. It is just me today. So if you're put off by that, we don't have an interview. It's just going to be me. I'm sorry about that. But what I will say is this means if you've got questions, you got comments, I'm going to be bouncing around a little bit, looking at this stuff to make sure I'm answering those questions, because I want to make sure that you're getting what you need from this as we go into our kind of demo and thinking about the use cases, thinking about how we're going to build these out. And we've got a couple examples we'll go through. With that said, we also, I'm solo on the monitoring chat. Jessie, who does social media, she always does a great job. She wasn't available today, which is perfectly fine. We've got this. So if you got questions, throw them in chat. First thing we always like to ask is, where's everybody coming from? And if you're listening to the audio version of this later, you've got the podcast you're listening to on your drive going someplace. Fair warning here. This is probably a very visual episode of the Visual Lounge. We're going to be showing off some template building in Camtasia. So you may want to jump over to YouTube or to the blog or someplace else once this is available to look at the visuals that go along with this. I will do my best to describe things, but obviously sometimes seeing is the way to go if you can. So with that said, are you guys ready? Where are you coming from? What are you hoping to get out of today? And any questions you might have about this topic, let me know. Jono comes from Sacramento. We're awesome. Thank you for being here. I know he mentioned he's excited because he thinks he's using templates already and seeing the benefit, but wants to make sure he's learning more, which is fantastic. Okay, everybody, we're going to jump into some screen stuff here. So let's just orientate ourselves here. We got Camtasia up, right? So I right now just have a blank project. And that is one place that you could start. And I'm not saying it's a bad place. I'm just saying it might not be the place we want to start if you're starting to think about templates. Because first of all, if you're going to build a template, you probably want to know what the parts and pieces are, right? Like, what is it that you're trying to kind of reduce the workload on? Is it an introduction? Is it an outro? Is it like a full video set? So one recommendation I'm going to make, and I'm just going to go up here to my file menu, and it says open new project from template. Camtasia, in this case, comes already with some templates. And it's going to bring up a screen that's like this: choose a template. And there are some more that are available for download, some that are in the Camtasia assets for Camtasia library, which is really great. And these are basically just kind of preset templates that are there to get you started, right? You can see there's a couple you might not have because I've downloaded. I built a couple of my own, which we'll talk about here. For instance, I want to look at this one called Easy Presentation, and it's got the number 1 on it. Actually, there's one that says Easy Presentation 1 too, because I thought it looked good, so I downloaded it again. Didn't realize I already had it. So we're going to click on that. And this is just to show you an example of a simple template. And we can talk about kind of the use cases as we go here. So as we look at our timeline for a template, it has built into it an intro. So it's got this little kind of flashy intro that comes in. It's got a placeholder for the main video content. And then it's got an outro. Very simple, right? Now it's got some color to it. It's got some brand to it. You could take this template today and you could change out the titles and you could just use that. And then you'd already have sped up the video creation and you say, that's my style. And then there you go, right? Like that's all a template means to in the very simplest format. It could be an intro, video, and outro. Now, I'm curious, how many of you have been using Camtasia and have never seen that it has placeholders? Now, this is true of Camtasia 2020. If you're using older versions of Camtasia, that may not be true. But this placeholder media is really fascinating to me. And the reason it's fascinating is because all of a sudden you can start thinking about things differently. You can start thinking about how you would want to structure your video and how you'd want to think about your video in different ways, because it is basically a piece of media. And its whole job is to say, put something here. You don't know what's going to go there necessarily. It could be a video, it could be a graphic, it could be an image, it could be all sorts of things. But the idea is you can start structuring kind of the content of your video without ever having to first make the content. Now, sometimes that gets a little wonky. You're like, oh gosh, I don't know what I want. However, in this case, it's really great because we can start to build this out. And if you've got a team especially, I love this because now if you've got someone you're working with, they've never made a video before, how easy is it to just be able to say to them, okay, here's your video template. This is our intro. You're going to have to change a little bit of text. Here's our outro. Yep, you're going to update that to match the brand, you know. And maybe if I was building this template for TechSmith, I would change that website. I would just change it. I'd change it in the template and save it so I never have to touch it again. And only unless the website's going to change. And then they just have to put in media. And adding media here is really easy. So I'm just going to go over my library. Let's see. Let's grab something that's not... This is a video. It's just a nature landscape. Not a big deal, right? Like I just have some stock stuff in here. And I'm just going to add this to the placeholder video. The way you're going to do this is you're going to click and drag, and you're going to bring it down to your timeline and hover over that placeholder media. You're going to see around the placeholder media. Hopefully you can see it. I don't know why that went so small. Why is my screen sharing so small? There we go. That was weird. Okay. We're going to go drag it down again. It likes to get small there for some reason. And I don't know what's going on, guys, with the screen. I apologize, but it gets small. You drop it on. You can see it's green there for a second. And then it should have replaced it. So there we go. I've got this option now. It says ripple replace or replace with clip speed, meaning I can make this extend. It will replace the media, the placeholder, to make it as long or as short as it is. Or I can say, hey, I actually just want it to fit right there perfectly, that length. Can you speed it up? And Camtasia will do that. But I'm going to just ripple replace so you can see it. And now you can see that it shrunk here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Down here, if I can. Maybe you can't see it now because it's off the screen. That's one of the interesting challenges about live streaming and trying to show my screen at the same time, folks. Sorry if it's not as clear. But down here in this corner, you can see the clip has gotten shorter, and we can just move our outro to be the appropriate length as needed. Boom. So that's really placeholders. Infinitely flexible here for us. So let's do this. I'm going to try to keep up. And look at the chat here for a second. Thanks, Brad. Glad you could stop by. Jono says, true story, been using Camtasia for all videos since started channel in 2014. Awesome. Way to go. Hi, Kathy. Hey, Karen. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm going to try to keep track of everybody in the different locations we're streaming to today. But let me get rid of this one because, you know, this is just to get you the very simplest, right? So I'm going to close this. I don't want to save that because it's just a template. So I want to go over to another example, though, because I think this is something that's really interesting about templates. So one of the things that you can do with templates is we often talk about creating videos that are for like YouTube or for your LMS, learning management system, that is. But some places you have videos that are different sizes. So if you want to make videos for social media purposes, let's say, and you might be saying, well, why would I do that? Why would I want to do that? Well, there's lots of benefits for if you're a marketer or being on social media, or maybe it's an internal kind of social channel and it doesn't need to be an exactly square video. I want to walk through this example of a template I just made for myself recently, because I think it opens up, again, some kind of, we're exploring the options here. And one of the options is to make your video not be a traditional 16:9 resolution. What we can do here is we can actually go into our project settings and we can set this up. In this case, it was 1080 by 1080. I wanted it square. So this could be good for LinkedIn. This could be good for maybe Instagram, kind of depending on wherever you're going to put that to. And so just keep that in mind, that you can do anything you change in your template is going to get applied when someone goes and uses that template. Ian asked the question, could we use templates in our school department, like a different template per department? Absolutely. You can create the template and say you got your science excuse me, I'm speaking so fast, I need to slow down. Our science template, you've got your English template, or language template, you've got your history template, your, current affairs template, whatever it is. Yes, create all the different templates. In fact, the cool thing is we can take that kind of idea and make them look very similar. So for instance, there might be elements that you always want to be there. And so then they've got a similar look and feel across like a whole organization. So for instance, at TechSmith, maybe there's a marketing department, maybe a template. There's a engineering template. There could be the senior leadership has a template. And maybe they're all themed around TechSmith colors and brand, but a little different. So a couple things here. I pulled this up. I wanted to show you how I built this. And we'll go through building out one here. But all it is I've got a graphic. So you can see I made this graphic. I've got a placeholder. I've got this text that is actually here in Camtasia. I put it in Camtasia. So it's completely editable. So I've got that. I've got this logo. And in fact, one of the things I did is I added the logo after. I forgot to change the length of it. So I want it to be available this whole time. And so now whenever I open up this template, all I have to do is bring in video. So it fits right in there. So I've got kind of what I want. In fact, one of the changes I want to make to this template is I'm dropping kind of this description and content text here in the future, because I know I have closed captioning and this was getting in the way. So now I can just update the template. It won't change the future videos unless I re-render them and reapply the template. But going forward, I'll have it there. I don't have to remember, oh gosh, I need to not put something in that space. So it works really well for that purpose. So this is, again, a pretty easy one, but I wanted to point out the different shape. And that media placeholder, let me just show you here. So I got this placeholder. One of the things I did, it can be changed. You can change you don't want it to be a certain size. You can really start to go in and adjust that placeholder. You can even, if you'll see here on my screen, you can change the name of the placeholder. So video goes here, and then you could put notes. So if you're working with other people, super helpful to give them a description of what it is that they are going to get to. So pretty simple. So again, you can just change this around if I wanted it rotated. And again, anytime I bring in a video, so for instance, I'll bring in this video over here, and I'm going to bring it down to my placeholder. I don't know why it gets small when I do that, but it does. And I'm going to say replace we'll do just another ripple replace. And it's turned is exactly the way I want. Now you'll notice in this case, this is really long. My intention is not to show the entire video. So I still might need to do some editing here and trimming and cutting down of the clip to get it to be the way that I want. But I don't have to think about all the other parts and pieces. So again, that's some of the benefits of the template and some of the things you can see. And, a couple options here. I could just keep cutting this until it fits, or I can take all these and I can adjust the length pretty easily. So it's going to fit to my video. So we know that, if you're making consistently a 1-minute video, that's going to be tough to record just 1 minute. If you're making a 5-minute video, whatever it might be. So you want to really think through some of those things. So Ian, We got sound, good. Okay, so that's just another example. Let's look at another one. So this is something I have not built a template. So we're gonna go through and build a template for this. For part of this show, the Visual Lounge, we've got our other kind of segment that we do that drops on Fridays, I believe it is, on the podcast, and we put them on YouTube. It's Andy, Justin, and myself talking. One of the things that we've been doing is taking clips from this because we heard a great presentation from Amy Woods here on the Visual Lounge a couple weeks ago. She talked about repurposing content. Now, we're doing this kind of all from the ground up. So we said, well, we want to repurpose content. You might, if you're following me on LinkedIn, you may have seen that. Or if you're following Justin or Andy, you may have seen that. So I want to build a template where I've got, take a clip from this particular episode. In fact, I don't even want to take a clip from this episode. This is for the episodes, right? And we got a couple parts and pieces. So as you're starting to build, and I'll show that in a second, as you're starting to build your templates, you need to do something. I almost recommend you take like a pad of sticky notes or some paper and start to think through what's going to be there and what's the layering look like. And the reason I like sticky notes is because you can move things around pretty easily. So what's at the base? So let me share my screen again. Okay, so we've got Justin and Andy here. This is what we recorded. This is much like what I'm recording today. And we've got the whole show. So we did a whole show. We've got some music, and we actually started the show with something a little different. We take these cuts of kind of a really, we'll say the smartest thing or really good things that we said and said there. Justin said something really good. I said something okay. Andy said something really smart. And then we have our little intro. And we do that as a teaser, right? So we got teaser content. We've got the little music intro to let you know we're actually starting. And then we jump into the show. No, but that's not it. After the show, at the very end of the show, we like to put, again, we end with music and kind of our simple, very simple outro. But I was doing this and I was just doing it kind of every time. And I literally just took kind of like the same one, saved it, and then just replaced media just as a Camtasia project file. However, I think it might be better if I take this and turn it into an actual template. So let's do that now. So if I was thinking about this, I've got a couple parts that we just identified, and that's why the sticky notes, right? Let's build and layer and think about, okay, what pieces need to be there? So first of all, we know there's going to be music, and it's going to be consistent music. So I'm actually just going to keep the music track in here, and let me just play that and you can hear it.
Just those, like Andy had brought up, those.
Let me mute Justin here. Okay. Pretty simple. The biggest thing to kind of watch out for with music as we're thinking about building out our templates is that if the timing changes, so for instance, in these early parts here, Justin talks for a amount of time, I talk, Andy talks. It's hard to know how long those are going to be. We're shooting for that intro to be like around 30 seconds, but sometimes it takes 40. Sometimes it takes 10 or 20 seconds. So you want your music to be flexible enough so when you're choosing music for a template, think about that. Now the next thing is I've got these three parts, and you can see I kind of cut mine up here. You can see there's a cut there. That's going to be tough. You know, like we know there's going to be three pieces. Justin's going to say something, I'm going to say something, Andy's going to say something. So what I want to do, instead of doing these kind of just rough pieces here, I'm gonna undo that because I've got my magnetized track on. I'm gonna delete those though, and I'm gonna put in placeholders. The way to add a placeholder is super easy. Just right click, paste media. Nope, we want to just go right here, right below it, add placeholder, and it gives me this great big placeholder. And I'm just gonna say like, okay, let's just kind of, I don't know how long it's gonna be, so let's just put a couple of them here. I'm just gonna copy and paste that. I've got another one. And maybe another one, and we're just going to rough this in because it's not going to be exact. So I've got that, and now we've got this. I'm going to make these a little bit shorter just so it's going to fit with the timing of my music currently. I can show you how to change that here in a second. So, okay, we got the placeholders, and I'll show you how we grab media for those later. I've got this intro. Now, here's the thing about this particular intro. If you're following along on the video screen, it says before you hit record, which is the name of an episode, not the show. You've got pictures of us. And the thing we've kind of settled on is that we always change those. It's a different title because we want the title topic, and it's different pictures of us. So before we record, we smile, and then we take a frame. So it's easy. We're not trying to pull frame from the video. So we know this is going to change too. However, I want to make sure that whoever's doing this, if I hand it off to someone else, that they know this is where the intro goes. The intro should never be too long. So we want this one to be a fixed time. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to put another placeholder. And in this case, oh gosh, how long do we want this to be? It's way too long now. We probably want it to be like 5 seconds or something. And so you want to look at the duration here of the time. Again, it doesn't matter how long it is. In this case, we want it to be set. And then we'd want to call this like intro graphic, you know, just so someone sees that they know. So far it's pretty easy. And you might decide now, do we want these layered on top of each other? What else is going to happen here? What do we want to be consistently true? So for instance, maybe we go in here and we say, you know, for each of these clips between what we say, we want it to be clearly a transition between them. So maybe we're going to, oh gosh, I'm going to use a flip transition. I don't know. In that case, it's hard to see what it's going to look like. But maybe you want to do something like that. Now, if you're using any transitions, that's okay. You can use transitions. Cool. Now, again, I'm just trying to be consistent here. If you're going to, whatever you're going to do, I think I used a flip. Probably used a fade because I'm opposed to most other transitions. Let's change this to a flip. Now, the cool thing is that gets applied. So when I go and find a piece of media here, and I'm just going to grab, let's just grab a little clip. Because this is how I do it. I go through and I grab from the episode. I say, boom. Let's just take that. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it. I didn't need that part of the intro down below, but that's okay. The music. And now I'm going to take this and I think it should let me, just drag it in there. And I'm going to ripple replace. So adjust timing wise. See, it just moved it. That's the great thing about this. I didn't have to think about, gosh, it's not going to fit. How do I cut it more? And I wasn't very careful because I wasn't listening to it. But now when it gets to here, and it would flip. Now that was not a good example of a cut, but you can see the idea. So all of a sudden, you don't have to think about transitions. You don't have to think about lots of these pieces. Anything that you're going to want to do later, anything you don't want someone else to have to think about, or you have to remember what you do, this is a reason for building these out. And then I would just keep going, right? Like with this particular example, it's pretty simple. But what I would do is I would look at it and say, okay, I've got a show that's going to go in there. I need to put a placeholder there. And then, just be same thing with the end, right? We're going to have the same music. So I'm not going to put a placeholder in there. I'm just going to keep it that way. But I'm going to have the end graphic that we're going to swap out because it's literally the same one. So, this is, again, these are pretty simple ideas, but want to make sure that we're talking about that simple basic level before you get too complex. So let me look at questions here. Keep putting questions, keep chatting, guys. Appreciate it. We've got, nope, no other questions, it looks like. Let me check over on other places like LinkedIn and whatnot, because sometimes those, they don't come through to my system. Welcome again to everybody who's joining us. So let me know what you think. Are you using templates? How will you use templates? What would you like us to build in the time that we have? We've got plenty of time. I do want to go through a couple other examples of how templates might be useful because we've been talking kind of show, like typical videos, like you're going to do lots of the same videos. But we'll go into another one that I think is kind of interesting because sometimes you're building something out and you're like, I don't want to have to remember how I did this. You learn the process. So let's do this. We are going to switch to my screen again. And we're going to go here and we're going to go File. I'm gonna just actually show you a template that I built. New project from template, because I think this will give us a good idea. We can look at how it's built. But I want to go down to here. I just called it round webcam. And I'm going to say new from template. And this is, again, it's very simple, but if you've ever seen the look of a video where you've got a video and the person, kind of like what I'm doing right now, where I'm on screen as a circle and the screen is up. Well, it's pretty easy to do in Camtasia. Really all I did is I've got this is just blank canvas. In fact, we can put anything there. Let's just grab an image. Let's see, I think I brought this one earlier. We're going to put this here. Now, notice, depending on where you put it, it's going to block everything. So I'm just going to move that to the bottom. So that's my background. That's the main video. Nope. I've got to make sure I get the order right here because I've got alpha channels I'm using. So let me just I got to add a track in. So insert track below. There we go. So now I've got this video in the background. So maybe I'm talking about world history or something like that. And now I've got this place for me as a speaker to come in here. So we need to put something in there. And I think, I know I'm going to go to my media. I'm going to add a piece of media here. And I'm just going to import media. I've got lots of different videos. There's plenty of me in the world. So, oh, it's going to show you all my files. That's interesting. We're going to do this here. And we're going to go from a recording that I did. And we'll just find one that works. Nope. So I got lots of things. That might even be the problem. That I've got too many. Sorry about choosing this one. I think it's this one actually. Perfect. Let's import this one. Me talking. And now, because I've got a placeholder set up, and I'm using an alpha channel, and basically the alpha channel, if you aren't familiar with it, you right-click on the eyeball next to the track name. You set alpha, so that's on the circle shape, and it's putting a circle mask, basically, over that placeholder. And now when I drag down my video on top of that placeholder, I add it, and I'm just going to ripple replace it, even though it's not the same length. That's okay. I can adjust it. I get this really cool effect. Now, I could set this up. I could do this every single time. But that means I've got to grab the circle. I've got to, remember how I did the alpha exactly, which order the layers go in. So I love templates for this kind of thing because now all of a sudden it's built out for me. And if I know I want this style of video, again, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to stop and say like, gosh, did I use alpha or invert alpha? What color should I use? What other things do I need to know? Is it luminosity? What do I do to change this? You can answer all those questions for yourself. And again, in that placeholder, if you need something specific, you put yourself some notes like, hey, this worked really well when. And the cool thing is you can see I'm cut off a little bit here. If I select that video, if I could choose the right layer here, I can eventually, let me lock that track so I can't change it. I can actually get here and select my recording. If it was a bigger recording, I can move it around. Now you see, when I move that video down, that's an interesting look, but maybe not exactly what I want. It's saying, oh, there's no video there. There's nothing there for us to alpha. We're just going to remove it. So you can really make this a lot more adjustable and kind of fit your need depending on what you're trying to do. So just again, you can see that maybe a little bit better. So I really like, again, this idea of using templates for these types of purposes. Now let me go back here because one thing we didn't talk about. What do you do once you built out your template? Let's go to File, and it's pretty simple here. Save project as template, and you give it a name, podcast show. We'll just do something like that. I say okay. That's it. It's saved. It is a template, and now when I go to File, Open Project from Template, I've got it's probably based on their podcast show. Now, a couple things to remember that are interesting. I've got media in here already because I wasn't really trying to make this template official right then. It's going to have anything that was in your video file. So now I've got these placeholders, except because I was testing that one out, the clip out, it remembered that it was there and it thinks, well, that's part of the template. You want all future videos to have that. So be mindful as you're building out your template that you only have the things that you need, including media in the media bin. Your Camtasia doesn't know if that's important or not, so it says it doesn't think, it's not sentient. But it's saying, our developers have said, look, we don't know if this is important or not. You put it there, we're gonna assume it's part of your template. So go through and get rid of any of the stuff your template doesn't need. So, make sense? I mean, templates are all pretty basic here, right? You guys, tell me in the chat, let's hear you. I want to know what other kind of templates do you need? What kind of template would you like to see us build out? What kind of complexity would you like to add? I've got another one I'd like to show. We're 30 minutes into today's episode. We can end this early. We can answer other questions if you got them. Happy to do that for everybody that's with us. But we got one more template I definitely want to show. And again, it's this idea of how do I do these things to make my life easier and faster? So let's go ahead and make a new one. I think actually, I don't think I have it here. Nope. Okay, well, let's do this. So let's say we're going to be making a video, but one of the things that happens when you put videos on, maybe on social media or in other places that are kind of out of context of a video player, is you don't know how long they are without having to move your mouse over, and you don't know where you're at. Are you in the middle of the video? Let's say we wanted to make a little progress bar. And we want to do it for a video like this. It doesn't have to be for this video, again, because we're making a template. We want it for all sorts of things. So let's say I want to make a progress bar for this particular video, though. So if I look down, this is, it's 30 minutes of video. That's a really long progress bar. Let me just trim this down because it would just be easier to work with here. But let me share my screen again. Okay, so I got this video. It's really long. I'm going to trim this down just so we're only working with about 5 minutes, right? So a progress bar, we can do this so easily, and we're going to turn this into a template for ourselves. So, but we'll use this video as the example to start. So I'm just going to go, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to annotations, and I'm going to grab a square, and it can be any kind of square. We're going to adjust it, so we don't want this to be too big. I'm just going to make it a little bit not so tall. I don't want it turned there. Just want it straight. And what I want to do with this is I want to take it and put it at the very bottom of my screen. I'm going to make it the width of the screen. Now, this could be any width of your screen. If you got a different size, like a vertical video versus a horizontal video. Okay, so I've got that. That's piece one. And we're going to make that to be the length, however long. Now, we're going to be working with a placeholder, so it doesn't really matter. This will be highly adjustable. We're going to take that same rectangle and we're going to copy it and we're going to paste it. So now we've got two rectangles. And this top rectangle, we're going to adjust a little bit. First of all, I don't want it to be the same color, so I'm just going to use like a kind of a bright red. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size so it's smaller than the first rectangle in height. And we'll do something kind of like that. I'm just going to center it on top, so these are both at the bottom of the screen. I've got a white colored rectangle that's as wide as the screen. I got on top a red colored rectangle on top of that white rectangle. So they're layered on top of each other. Again, towards the beginning, I said you want to think about the layers, what's going to come, which order these are going to happen in. And now, super easy. We're going to take this red rectangle. We're going to drag it all the way off. Let me make this bigger so you can see it. We're going to drag it off to the side so it's just off the screen. Okay, so we've taken that and we've taking it off the screen. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our animations, or if you got like a zoom and pan, I like custom animations here. We're going to do this and we're going to put it on at the very beginning. I need to zoom in there on my timeline a little bit. And we're going to make the animation last the entire duration of our placeholder or the clip that we're working with. And again, we're going to turn this into a template. So I don't have to redo this because I've done it several times before. And now you can see that animation's not doing anything because we haven't told it what to do. So at the very end of the clip, we're going to make sure that animation is selected, and we are going to move. You can see we're hanging over a little bit too far, so let me zoom in on my timeline to make sure make that just a little bit longer so timing is perfect. Camtasia's got a lot of instances of Camtasia open. It's a little flickery, and I'm live streaming. Okay, so now we've got that. Now we're at the end of this annotation. We're going to take that red bar and we're going to make sure it comes back to that original position. Now you could do this kind of a couple of different ways, but so now at the very end, it's going to be there. So when I go back to my video, you see there's just that, again, that white rectangle, but when I play it back, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like without the video clip. You'll see the red bar progresses across the bottom of the screen to show you how long approximately we're into the video. Now, you could do things to make this fancier. You could have kind of markers along the way to like 1/4, 1/2, 3/4. Really, I think it's an interesting kind of effect. So you can see it's slowly progressing. And the cool thing is now that I've got that, if I say, gosh, I'm not going to do 5-minute videos because who wants to watch 5-minute videos? I'm just going to shorten this up to, let me undo that because I grabbed the wrong thing. Make sure I got both of these tracks. We're going to make it down to 1 minute. And now when it plays back, oh, I might have to adjust the clip here. But all you're going to do is adjust the length of the animation and the clip so it matches. Cool. And now I can adjust the timeline there. So now it's just going to play back. It's going to look like it's playing back even faster because there's relative amount of time is shorter. And now, so we've got that.
This is your planning. How much time?
There's Andy. We're going to play that. I'm going to get rid of that because I don't really need it for this video. And again, we're just going to add a placeholder. So now I've got this for any videos that I want. And I want that at the bottom. Again, you want this on top of your media. I don't want to replace that. I just want to drag it down. There we go. Boom. So now I can bring in any media. Again, it's a very simple kind of approach. But if you're doing these types of videos all the time, the idea is I would now save this out, get rid of all the media in my clip bin, save it out as a template so I don't have to rethink how I'm going to do this. Now, again, you could make this as fancy as you want. You could add multiple placeholders. You could, like, you're going to do a picture-in-picture on top of a placeholder. It's really up to you what you're going to do. I did see, I think, a question come in. Kimberly said, would love to see what you had in mind. Always looking for ideas, of course. Absolutely. I'd love to hear from you guys, too. What is it that you think you're going to, how could you use templates today to speed up your workflow for any of the videos that you're making? Because, again, templates are shareable. You can share that out with your coworkers, your friends, your colleagues, whoever's making videos with you. So maybe you're the de facto Camtasia expert in your department, and you want to get more people making videos, but they're hesitant. Templates are a great way to start introducing people to get them up to speed quickly. And again, think about the things that you repeat often. If you're going to make a series of videos, does it have the same intro? Does it have the same information in it? Anything that you can do at scale where you're not having to repeat and redo that work is going to save you time and effort. That's why I say you need a template. You need templates. Now, will every video require a template or need a template? No. If you're going to do one style, one time, it's probably not worth it. But you're going to start doing that maybe once a quarter, every so often, and you want it just to be able to go back to it. Because I know I have made a lot of tutorial videos in my days. We used to, whenever we'd have a new product launch for Camtasia or Snagit, it's like, okay, we're going to make 8, 10, 12, 15, 30 videos to show off new features. And they all are going to start this way and they're all going to end this way. Some of the content in between is, it's going to be different, but how do we make sure that's consistent? Well, we would oftentimes just save the project and start from there, but sometimes you would forget, or sometimes it's like, oh, well, it's not quite like we'd find ourselves in situations. So templates is a newer feature that I love. And I just think it's something that you can take really advantage of, especially in group settings, but even if you're just looking for consistent style. So for instance, you're making videos for YouTube. Or some other platform where the ending, you've got certain parameters of things that it's going to do. You always want to say, don't forget to subscribe, or don't forget to fill out this form, or don't forget to take, in the LMS, the quiz, whatever it might be. You want that messaging to be consistent. Again, you can throw in a template just to make it a lot easier. So going to just check here the socials because I don't see everything necessarily coming through. But appreciate everybody that is watching right now. So if you've got questions about templates, you missed something, you want to see something again, let me know. Again, I've showed some very simple things. These can be much, much more complex if you want. It is really up to what you want to do with them, though. Again, we're thinking about using templates in ways that are going to allow you to scale. You want to see some... and I apologize if I don't get your name right. Natasha, can you tell and show any advanced virtual templates? Well, hopefully, by virtual, I think they're probably all virtual. Well, let's do this. Let's go to File again. Let's open Project from Template. And let's choose something like this human resource one. Now, I did not build this one. This is from, it's downloadable from TechSmith's asset store for Camtasia. But I'm going to put this in here. And all of a sudden you start to see there's a lot more going on this template, right? So let me just kind of go through it. Oh, forgot to show my screen. I'm always forgetting to switch back and forth. Okay, so you see a lot more going on here. You can see we've got different graphics coming in here, and a lot of these are groups. So if you're not familiar with groups in Camtasia, it's basically you're taking multiple elements and putting them together, and so it's compacted here. But if we click on this little plus, we open it up, we're going to see that this one, intro callout, actually has more groups. It's groups within groups, right? And it's going to give us our shapes, things like that. Now, this particular part, we may not need to do much here except for to go in and change text. But that's the benefit of this template. Somebody made something very animated and graphical, and all I have to do is go and change the text and maybe the color if I can. And then we've got a placeholder, and they've laid it out for me, intro scene placeholder. Then I've got more kind of animations. So I'm not sure I could build those animations, but someone else did it for me, so I don't have to. I can go change those. I've got more like, hey, put some more scene in here. I've got this text. Maybe that's something I want to use. Oh my gosh, that's super cool. I can call it the highlights or something, kind of like National Geographic or things like that. So again, you're getting the flow of this entire video. Someone could build this. Now, you're going to have to work on timing and things like that to make it work. So there's a little bit of work. We're not saying templates are work free, but all of a sudden you've got options of things here that you could use. And you could even cut this down and probably use part of them. So if I play this back here, I don't love the music. I'd probably change out to music, but that's me. It depends on what's appropriate your audience. See, and this one's really nice, right? So we can do this. So we can even take this, copy it, put it in another video. Why not, right? Like if you like the way that looks, you can do that. So we've got more stuff here. You've got a list. So these, like, you don't have to use all these. It's not saying this is the appropriate thing to make a video, but you can see all of a sudden it's a lot more complex because we're adding elements of motion and movement and things that are you get someone who's really good at those, they can build complex things. But for most of us as video creators, we are, Camtasia users, we're trainers, we're technical writers, we're not maybe the graphic designer or the motion expert who's going to build this, but we can do this in a way that once we just start digging into it, we can start to say like, okay, I'm going to go in here and gosh, what can I change? Well, there's a call out, right? I could go in there and I could start to make changes to make this work for my needs, or I can just copy this even. Like I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to go to one of these other videos, and I'm going to use my control keyboard to paste it. I got that section, so I could reuse even just parts of this template. So again, templates don't have to just be like, oh, do all these things. It could be, but you might use those parts and repurpose them throughout different videos even. So I think this is a really good example of something much, much more complex. Because the other thing is, if someone I don't know your organizations, but you could literally start dragging and dropping and make this work for your video with some adjustments. Again, the goal is not to eliminate all the work. The goal is to give the ideas around like, hey, these are the pieces and parts. But you could turn this into one whole video. I question the particular order you might want to do these things in because maybe you don't have anything at this point that's going to need that type of call out. But again, you start to see a template that is much, much more example. So hopefully, Natasha, hopefully that answers the question. Jono says, I have subscribed languages in my video templates for sure. That's a great tip. Yep, absolutely. It also goes on to say, can I just save my project file as a template? I've always been afraid to try. Yeah, I mean, you can go save this template because it's super easy. If let's say we go in here and we want to manage these, right? I'm on a Mac, same kind of process on Windows. We can go to manage templates. I made that one and maybe I don't like it, or maybe I want to let me get rid of it. I downloaded this extra one. So I just go here and I can actually, I think if I say here, got my 3 buttons, I'm going to delete this template. Are you sure? Yep, absolutely sure. I don't want 2 of those. And I go in here. Now I've got this, a standard video I was playing with, podcast show. Maybe I don't want that one, or maybe I don't want one of the other ones. So you can easily get rid of them. So the thing is, if you save a project file as a template, remember, it's going to bring over all the media, all the assets, the music, the images, the videos, everything So you might want to maybe make a new version of the project, save out, kind of swap out for placeholders or what you don't want there, just to save on file types. Now, the other thing is, again, if you're working with people, and let's say I want to take my round webcam here, and we're going to say, yep, we're going to export template. And it's going to just save out. And I'm going to put this here in my live events folder because that's today, because I have an idea of what I want to do with it. I'm going to save it in here. Okay, it's saved. Now all I have to do is send that. So if I'm clever here, we're going to try this, because everyone watching today, if you want that template, I'm going to put it on Dropbox right now. And we'll put the link in all the show notes and things like that. But let's see if we can do this here. And I will give you that template. And if you're using Camtasia, Mac or Windows, there's nothing special about this that wouldn't work. You should be able to just make it happen. So let me find a place to save this here real quick, and let me know other comments, questions, thoughts, or other things you might want or need. So I got, try to do 2 things at once: save my files, talk to you guys, keep things going. Alex says a template to scroll text below a speaker who may be English second language, like a transcript. Alex, that is one thing you could definitely do. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. You might consider captions at that point. It just kind of depends. However, a great use of that actually is if you're going to social media places like Facebook. Now, most of them are accepting caption files, SRT files. That's a super easy way to get the text in there, and you can download that. And usually Facebook and I don't know if Twitter allows you to upload your SRT files. LinkedIn does now, so you could definitely do that. I might recommend that for text. However, in some cases where they don't have captioning, it is fantastic because you can have that text going, and even if someone doesn't turn on their sound, they could still get benefit and value from the video. So I do think that is a good idea. We'll be actually talking next week about accessibility and why you want captions, but I think it's an interesting use, and thank you for that suggestion. I think it's really good. Jane says hi from the UK. Sorry I have to miss it, but sharing a tip, like the thumbnail. Awesome. Way to have. Jane is someone, if you guys don't know Jane Davids, go ahead and check her out. She's got some really fantastic tips and tricks and ideas about using Camtasia. She does fantastic work. Okay, I've almost got this file ready to share because I'm, chatting with you guys. It takes me a little bit longer than normal. And I'm going to create a link here, and I'm going to drop this in the chat for everybody. Let's say we're going to put that to download. So that should work. If it doesn't work, someone's going to tell me. And I'm going to go over to LinkedIn. Round camera. You get to hear me talk and type at the same time. Camera file for Camtasia template. Cool. Again, just it gets you started, right? So again, these templates are really, really fantastic. I think the limit is your imagination. But again, I want to emphasize, and I can't emphasize this enough because I think it's the whole crux of the episode of today is that when you're using templates, the idea is to take anything that is going to be repeatable in a multitude of videos, in more than one video. You consider templates because it's going to speed up that process and you don't have to make those decisions again. There's other things in Camtasia that are really good at this too, such as themes. So you can always have the same colors, fonts. So if you got a particular color theme, you want to make it. So for instance, you've noticed all of our lower thirds I'm pointing to on the screen right now are yellow. That's a TechSmith yellow. That's a yellow we use in our branding. So I don't want to have to try to remember the hex code or the RGB value or anything like that. So a template can help you, or a theme can help you do that. When you pair themes and templates, all of a sudden you've got this really powerful system for creating media quickly without having to go and search out some of those things, including put in, if you got a logo and you're going to use your logo throughout your videos, why not put it in your theme? Now let's take this a step further. You've got templates, you've got themes, you've also got a library. And in your library can be any type of media. So music, it could be videos, it could be graphics, it could be all sorts of things that you're going to be using over and over and over again. So if something's not like, oh gosh, sometimes we use, for instance, on the lower third, that if anyone's watching this, Matt Pierce, the Learning Video Ambassador, then you got the Visual Lounge logo. Maybe I use a different logo occasionally, a different color based on what I'm doing in the video. And so maybe those go into my library. So I'm not always like, okay, where did in my file structure did I put all that, the dark one that's going to work on a dark background, or the one that's going to work on a white background. And so between those three things, again, themes, templates, and library, you can build out a whole system. And there's lots of sharing that can happen with those, so that anyone in your organization that wants to make video can have access to those things. So they're not having to go say, where's the latest color? Where's the logo? Where's this piece that I know I need to include in all my videos because HR made us do it, right? Those are the things that, like, if you don't want to have to think about those again, build them into one of those places and then just repurpose your templates over and over again. And that's how you'll get faster. Now, you can get faster at editing video. Don't get me wrong. We want you to get better at editing video. We want you to learn how to do these things, but why redo the work? If you're doing something that's going to be kind of used over and over and again, or you want a consistent look and feel, why redo the work? Why not just have it be consistent? So, and speaking of getting better video and doing all the things that, you need to do to get better, can I just mention, we haven't mentioned in a while, TechSmith Academy. If you're watching this or listening to this, I'd recommend you go check out TechSmith Academy, academy.techsmith.com, completely free learning materials about making better video. We've got some awesome videos about writing scripts, about storyboards, about lighting your video, about capturing audio in your environment. We've got an amazing series about screen recording. So if you're new to screen recording, even if you're not using Camtasia, it will walk you start to finish through that project kind of life cycle of what things you need to consider, what kind of things you need to do. And they're short videos. They're like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes long at the most. And there's a lot of them, but the way you can even pick and choose if you want. Finally, we've got some other great topics about creating job aids, writing helpful help. Go check out academy.techsmith.com. Again, completely free. We do it because we want everyone to be successful with using images and visuals. All right, I think we're going to wrap things up here. It's almost time, but I do want to, last call for questions. We're not going to do what's new at TechSmith this week, but I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank all our listeners. If you're listening to the live, of course, we love that. Love the interaction you guys bring. We love the questions, the comments, the thoughts. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much for listening in. Don't forget, if in any of these places, if you have an opportunity to hit the like button, hit the rating, the review, leave us a comment, please let us know, because we want to make better content for you. We realize that sometimes, we're going off of our best guess of what we think you need or what we think is going to be valuable. But if you have comments, reflections, feedback, let us know. With that said, I do want to talk about an upcoming opportunity. I'm very excited about this. I'm very, very excited about this. And Joe, this is going to go somewhat to your question. Not really, but sort of. Joe just asked, does TechSmith ever put the $299 yearly asset collection on sale or have a coupon code? I'd love to get it, but I can't quite justify the amount. I think actually assets is not $299, depending on where you're coming from. Maybe that's, if you're in a different country, the numbers are different from different values. Sometimes we do, so keep your eyes open. But the thing I want to mention to everybody is an upcoming opportunity. We are going to be posting soon opportunities for you guys, for 3 people. We'll just say it right now, 3 people to win 6 months of either Camtasia assets, assets for Snagit, or TechSmith Audiate. That's going to be 3 chances. 3 people, different people are going to, each of them are going to win 6 months of one of those those. They're going to get to choose. So if 3 people and they say, we all want, each one of them says, I want the assets for Camtasia, we will give them each 6 months. The way you're going to do this is going to be in all the rules. It's all going to be spelled out. But essentially, we want you to take a look at the live stream that we've been doing, the Visual Lounge, and we want you to tell us, what have you learned? You can do it in a post. You can a text. Remember that text? An image. Make us a sweet image, or make a video. But we want to know what you've learned from watching these live streams and from watching the Visual Lounge. Now, there are some limitations on where you can post it. We're going to be watching with the hashtag Visual Lounge, all one word. So Visual Lounge, just like the name of the show, on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So you're going to post that publicly in one of those places. We'll see the hashtag Visual Lounge, again, all one word. And from there, we'll choose the winner. So 3 people. That's pretty awesome. the value of those is pretty good. So that's going to be an opportunity. And Ron, no, thank you for noticing. It's a guy from the courses. I do not have contacts. I just don't wear my glasses anymore. And the reason is because world health pandemic. So I still got them, but actually it's harder to see my screen when I wear them. So I can see close. I can't see far. Anyway, thanks so much, Ron, for noticing. Again, so that contest opportunity is coming soon. It's going to wrap up. I think the last day you can put something on social media will be like March 24th, March 23rd or 24th. And then on the episode on Thursday, March 25th, we'll have a very awesome guest, Jesse O'Donnell, who usually works behind the scene on social media, is going to be joining me. We're going to be talking about using video and images in social and how to do that well. So you guys can join us then to find out, and we'll talk about the contest again as we go along here. But watch out for TechSmith social media, giving all the more details. But I just wanted to say it here because I've got time, because I haven't had a guest today. So yeah, Joe, it's a little bit. So Joe asked the question about the cost, and it is a little bit less than he thought it was. I don't know if that helps enough, but do keep your eye open. Occasionally, we do have some specials and offers on discounts, but it just depends. And I don't know what I don't necessarily know what's coming up next, nor would I be able to say without getting in trouble. So thanks everybody for tuning in today. We again appreciate everybody. Ron and if I say your name wrong, again, I apologize. Manula, thanks for tuning in from Bangladesh. Joe, we got Jane and Natasha and Jono and everybody else. Brad, thanks for coming in. We want to thank everybody just for watching and supporting the show. We're so excited to be able to do these every week. It's something I look forward to. It's like the highlight of my week is to be here live with you guys, to bring you guys more great guests. So just as a note for upcoming shows, next week, we're going to be talking about accessibility, which is super, super valuable. We really need to all be more accessible. We've got some customer education stuff coming up, and we got stuff about social media, all, of course, wrapping around making better videos. So wherever you guys are doing, whatever you're up to, if you're making videos for training or technical documentation, marketing, sales, whatever it might be, we hope that you're spending some time to level up your skills every single day. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week. Talk to you later.